I am on oatmeal right now, so I might get a little sleepy throughout this whole video. Also, there is a sponsor for this video. We'll get to that very soon. NFL picks week 14. Dallas Cowboys getting 3.5 at the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are in big trouble. Cowboys are to cover the spread. The Lions offense is going to fucking struggle even worse than they have before. And it's not a compliment to the Cowboys at all. Because Cowboys are just playing on fumes. Oh, but the Dak Prescott is the leader. He's the leader. Okay, but so what? This is going to be a fucking ugly game for both of these fucking teams. Because one of these teams is going to go home crying like a baby. I'm going to take the Lions to win by 1 point. So Dallas covers. Atlanta Falcons at home, getting 7 against the Seattle Seahawks. After what transpired, keep mixing all the words there, dummy. After what transpired with the Atlanta Falcons game last week, I don't trust them to fucking cover spread anywhere. Do I trust the Jets even further? No, I don't. The Seahawks will win this game by 14 points. Cincinnati Bengals getting 5.5 at the Buffalo Bills. The Bengals are going to cover. Joe Burrow actually plays okay against Josh Allen. But then again, if Burrow doesn't even play, I still think the Bengals are going to cover, but the Bills win by 3 points. Cleveland at home is a 4.5 point favorite. I think this is the first time the Browns have been favored in a game. The Browns are favored by 4.5 against the Tennessee Titans. This is a game where Shedeur Sanders throws 3 interceptions, but still plays head and shoulders above the ill-equipped Cam Ward, who can't see a defense coming from 2 inches away, let alone right behind him, because Myles Garrett wears a mask like Kobe Bryant. And the Browns are going to win this game by 2. Minnesota Vikings at home getting 2.5 against the Commanders. This is bullshit. The Vikings are going to fucking lose royally again. The Commanders are going to come into this game super pissed that they blew the game against the Broncos, which Urinating Tree described as a Tim Tebow team on steroids, which I don't believe. I'll explain later. But then again, most sports commentators are pretentious up their asshole, probably Freemasons who are just following along with some kind of script. Blah, blah, blah. There's all different things I can accuse sports commentators of being. Cynical asshats is one of them. I don't like any of them. I don't like sports people. They're all stupid. So that just shows you that I'm not obsessed with one man. And why would I be? I would quickly jump out a window before being obsessed with a single fucking. Commanders going to blow out the Vikings by fucking 15. Actually, blow out. That's just a bad word. They're just going to win. Vikings suck. I've talked about how bad they are before. They're still bad. They deserve this. The New York Jets at home getting 2.5 against the Dolphins. The Jets will cover the spread. They might even win this game. They found a way to beat Atlanta and Cincinnati and shit like that. Cleveland Browns? Why not try to beat this glorified anime internet meme team called Miami Dolphins with a coach who wears a mask like Logic? Let's take the Jets to cover there. I'll tell you the winner later because I don't care. First, I have to mention the sponsor. This video is sponsored by Shelby Hoax, now available for streaming on ShillTube. Yeah, the The Jets by 1. New Orleans Saints getting 8.5 at Tampa Bay. The Bucks are getting healthier, somewhat healthier, not by much. I'll say that the Bucks win, but the Saints cover because I don't trust the Bucks to look dominant against any team in the league. Don't trust them. They're not very good. They're not very good. I mean, they had the great start to the season. They came back down to reality like they were supposed to. The Indianapolis Colts are favored by 1.5 against the Jaguars at Jacksonville. I told you people the Colts were not going to be that good down the stretch. Jacksonville's going to cover the spread. And Jacksonville, you know what? Jacksonville is going to win this game by fucking field goal. That's all I got to say about that. They're going to cover that spread. Here is the game of the week. Pittsburgh getting 5.5 at the narrative-proof Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, right. This team is totally fucking built on narrative. The Ravens are a garbage team. The Steelers are even more garbage. The Ravens extended Mark Andrews, who has a history of choking. Mark Andrews will leave behind a legacy of failure sooner rather than later, I bet, because even though I'm taking the Ravens to kill the Steelers 30-10, I still think the Ravens are absolute fucking garbage. They're not going to do anything in the playoffs. I don't care if I don't even care if the Chiefs go on a magical fucking run to make the playoffs. The Ravens are done. They're just they're done. They're done. They don't have what it takes to win. And then you have another team that's actually more novice than the Ravens. The Denver Broncos is that team. They're favored by 7.5 at the Las Vegas Raiders. For all the crap that Denver might get from sassy queens who like to talk all sorts of shit about superficial shit all the time, such as what I'm doing right now, because this is how much contempt I have for the world. Look, the Broncos, I'm not going to overpraise them. I will give them I gave them credit last week for finding ways to win. Maybe I got a little too dramatic just because I don't like blowhard guys who talk out their ass. And enough with this urinating tree hysteria. The guy is just a hysterical hack. But then again, who isn't a hysterical hack who does fucking sports videos on YouTube for a fucking living? Except for Julian Council. That guy's cool. He's cool-headed. We need cool-headed people. We don't need hysterical queens. If I needed a hysterical queen, I'll just go watch that garbage Theodore Pellerin movie called Solo. I'm taking the Broncos to win by 40. The Raiders, come on. The Raiders should be better. They should be better. For how historic this team is, and I used to like the Broncos way more than the Raiders back then. I'm fucking complimenting the Raiders like this. Yeah, for how historic team the Raiders are, it's just sad to see what they've become like the past fucking 15 years. Well, 15 years, I mean, 2010 was when I was basically starting to watch football, so. Yeah, past 15 years. I was 10 years old when I first started watching NFL. Semi-regularly. Yeah, it's just sad. They shouldn't have, they should have never fired Hugh Jackson. That's all I got to say about that. The Raiders should have never fired Hugh Jackson. Yeah. No. Hugh Jackson got cursed after he got fired from the Raiders. Seriously. The Chicago Bears, another big game, getting 6.5 at Green Bay. The Green Bay Packers should not be favored to win by fucking 6.5 or more. I don't see the Packers some kind of big old scary team. That said, the Bears, they're just like the Broncos. The Bears and the Broncos, they're both 1 or 2 draft classes away from being legit contenders in the NFL. They need about 1 or 2 more good drafts, 1 or 2 more decent little off seasons where they make some good little detail-oriented signings, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they're a couple of years away. But the fact that they're winning now, it's a good sign of progress because at least you're figuring out how to fucking play in this league. If you're a young team or a team full of young players, it's good to, it's good that you're getting all this experience on the spot. So I'm not gonna overpraise. I'm not gonna bash them to the ground because it is what it is. This is just the nature of the game. This is the nature of the beast. Again, urinating tree. You're a fucking hack. You're just a histrionic fool. All you do is fucking. You're like my stupid ex-girlfriend, citing mass hysteria all the time. But then again, my ex-girlfriend would probably get a job at the local Jewish General Hospital, but you probably get fucked in the ass by the fucking ass fuck legend Kevin Stefanski in like fucking 3 years. Who knows? Anyways, Bears Packers. I like the Bears to cover in this game. Bears look good against Philadelphia. Not by much. They weren't like supreme masters of the universe. But look, the Bears have dealt with a lot of injuries. It's impressive that they even made it to this point. Similarly with the Broncos, the Broncos have a shitty roster, minus Jerry Jeudy, of course. But it's impressive that these teams kind of dovetail each other quite well. The rosters aren't that great, but they're just overcoming and they're playing good. But yeah, Bears could cover. Matter of fact, in the battle of two teams that I think might choke and shit themselves in the playoffs, I'm going to say I like the Bears to upset the Packers at Green Bay. Getting 6.5, that line's too fucking stupid. I think the Packers are liable to choke this way. I'll take the Bears. Outright. No margin necessary. Arizona Cardinals getting 8.5 at home against the Los Angeles Rams. Arizona Cardinals getting 8.5 at the spot of the Sam Darnold, Kevin O'Connell playoff disaster when a bunch of people set off some wildfires somewhere for attention and the Rams had to play in Arizona. I think the Cardinals cover the point spread here. They're going to play hard. The Rams last week against Carolina, it's not an anomaly. I mean, Carolina was just destined to win one of those kind of games. That was just destined for Carolina. But yeah, I think the Rams, they'll win, but the Cardinals cover. It's going to be closer than the line. And here is another big game, big old game right here. Houston Texans getting 3.5 at Kansas City. CJ Stroud has had a pretty hard time playing at Arrowhead Stadium. The Kansas City Chiefs are having their 2014 season, They're having their 2014 season play right in front of their eyes all over again, even though Pat Mahomes is always going to be way better than Alex Smith. That's just fact. I like the Chiefs to win this game. I think I think this is going to be a game that they play with utmost urgency. They're really going to step up. They're really going to try to minimize their stupid mistakes. Travis Kelce's not going to shed his rusty skin like a geezer. And is he even playing, or is he pregnant with Taylor Swift's kid already? Roll that belly, just like your brother Jason Kelce. That said, the Texans will cover the 3.5 spread, even though they're probably going to look like total dumbasses, like they did in the playoffs. And CJ Stroud, the Texans' offense is probably just having a just typical day at the office. They're just going to be up and down. But yeah, Chiefs win, Texans cover, whatever. That's where I'm going with that one. And due to recent unfortunate events, the Philadelphia Eagles are favored by 2.5 rather than being favored by 5 against the Los Angeles Chargers. Whatever. I mean, if the Eagles didn't play so fucking flippantly like a typical team coached by a Zach Hubbard lookalike, because those guys are just flippant, bitches who get Oh yeah, I mean they're hacks. They're hacks like urinating tree. Urinating tree, Zach Hubbard, Columbia TriStar Home Entertainment, fruits on the same tree. It's only that one person steals people's money through shitty hoax gematria, which was actually a potential sponsor for this video because I had Shelby Hoax. Then take the K out, take the fucking S out, to put the X and the H in. Bam. I like Philly to win this game actually, but the Chargers will cover the spread. But I think Philly wins. It's gonna be a pretty fucking bad game. It's gonna be like like both these teams are just gonna be fucking pounding the shit out of each other. It's gonna be like one of those fucking Pittsburgh Steeler Cincinnati Bengals games from like fucking several years ago. It's gonna be like a real brutal game, but I think Philly wins and Chargers cover. And finally, the next sponsors of this video are the New England Patriots, the New York Giants, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Carolina Panthers. Shout out to Julian Council, the Panthers guy from a Locked On Panthers. He's cool.